Well, when COVID sent a lot of us home to work remotely, con artists really capitalized on that, turning everyday workers into sitting ducks for cybercrimes.
But tonight, Fox 9 investigator Nathan O'Neill uncovers one case you've never heard about, using a common tactic that could show up in your inbox as well. Nathan?
Yeah, well, the Fox 9 investigators first heard about this case almost a year ago, and it took that long to get answers about what happened. At the center of it, one of Minnesota's largest school districts, a case of wire fraud and more than $500,000. It was a point in recent memory when time seemed still. Like most of the country, Minnesota was paralyzed by the pandemic. Schools were shut down, businesses shuttered, and an overwhelming share of the workforce sent home. Here at the headquarters for Minneapolis Public Schools, admin offices were emptied out as remote working took hold. It was a health safety measure, but it also set the stage for a swindle that nearly cost the school district more than $500,000. The Fox 9 investigators obtained this internal financial record showing a payment of $503,000 in change. It was paid on April 24, 2020, to Stahl Construction Company. Stahl Construction is an independent contractor that at the time was doing general contract work at the Marcy Arts Magnet Elementary School. But there's one big problem with this six-figure payment. It was paid to a fraudulent bank account located almost 1,000 miles away in upstate New York. So how did this six-figure fraud happen? Well, it's as simple as pretending to be someone legitimate, a tactic known as spoofing. But here's the thing, it's not as complex as you might think. In this case, according to police records, the suspect sent an email to the MPS Finance Department requesting to change bank account information on file for a legitimate contractor. That email came from an address ending with Stahl Construction, but that email was fake. You can see how similar it is to the real address, but the difference comes down to a single hyphen.
In social engineering, the human element is considered the weakest factor.
Sal Spirace of Red Team Security is a cybersecurity expert. He tells us social engineering is essentially hacking people's behavior versus the computer system itself. So the idea is to manipulate human behavior.
Correct. Yes, either through email, voice, or in person physically, manipulate somebody's actions into something they normally would not do.
In this case, a search warrant executed on the fraudulent bank account revealed the only money ever in that account was the wire transfer tricked out of Minneapolis Public Schools. So you have an incident where somebody who is a perpetrator,
yes,
posing as a legitimate contractor.
Yes.
That seems very detailed and not like a blanket attack.
Correct.
Specific.
Something like that very well could have been targeted.
One school finance worker blamed pandemic work conditions, telling investigators she believed school officials did not initially catch the error, quote, due to everyone working from home and employees and departments not contacting each other for verification. But after the real Stahl Construction flagged that they had not, in fact, been paid, the bank was able to reverse the wire transfer, but only because it was caught within 5 days, a technicality that saved MPS hundreds of thousands of dollars.
In this particular case, they're pretty lucky.
Across the state, cybercrimes are costing Minnesotans tens of millions of dollars. According to the FBI's 2021 Internet Crimes Report, in Minnesota alone, more than 5,800 people fell victim to an internet crime, with victims losing an estimated $83 million. But as for the Minneapolis Public School District, justice for this six-figure con appears doubtful. After a preliminary investigation, authorities in Minneapolis informed the school district to file a report with New York State Police. But when we filed a public records request with New York State Police, they told us they performed a, quote, diligent search of our files and did not locate any records responsive. However, MPS did issue this brief statement, quote, "We followed our protocols and the money involved was safely returned to the district. After the situation was resolved, MPS put additional protocols in place to ensure this does not happen again." But our security expert says that could be tricky, considering ever-evolving tactics and technologies.
Every time we make improvements on training or how companies will, address certain security concerns, the malicious actors are getting even more creative and they're evolving as well too.
Now, it's worth noting we repeatedly asked to speak with Minneapolis school officials to question them about what type of measures have been taken to prevent this from happening again. Our requests were denied.
And Nathan, a lot of people still working from home, so how can you protect yourself from these types of attacks?
Well, our security expert tells us it's pretty simple, but it boils down to questioning pretty much every email you get, the source, the content, and the reason behind it. That's the simple version. Our expert has a lot more helpful tips for you. We're going to post them on fox9.com.
All right. Thank you, Nathan.
Well, next